So I've been doing the protests, covering the protests for the last 3 days, and starting to feel like myself again. I know that sounds weird, but I'm actually feeling physically better, emotionally better. I have a purpose other than something that I feel, even though I feel passionate about what's going on. It didn't happen to me. So therefore the duty to act is not quite as strong as if something had happened to me and I needed to fix it. And I guess there's like levels of duty to act. There's duty to act when you see something wrong. There's duty to act when there's something done wrong to you. There's duty to act when you see something globally going on, but the responsibility and the amount of weight that's on your shoulders to change it is different depending on what your role in it is. And with this, I have a duty to act as far as covering it, as far as listening to the voices and putting those voices out there on camera so that they can actually be heard, whether it's through pictures or video. And I have a lot to say about it, about what's going on. I have a lot to say to the protesters, and I have a lot to say to the cops, and I have a lot to say to those people that are sitting back in the back seat trying to drive, that are not protesting and they're not cops. They're kind of like inactive, but they feel that because they're whatever they are, that they have a right to voice, their opinion on things. And the duty to act for a teenager is different than the duty to act for an adult. As a teenager, you don't have the duty to prosecute somebody unless it happens directly to you. You don't have the duty to file a lawsuit. You don't have the duty to write letters to your senator, although that's a really good idea, and no matter what age you are. You don't have the duty to file charges. There's a lot of duty that they don't have. But as teenagers, this is part of their development. This is part of their conscience. So when we talk about conscience development, we talk about that part of you that stands up to the bully. We're talking about those two men that sat on that man's legs and back while the other man killed him with his knee for 8 minutes and 48 seconds. Their conscience, and the man that stood there and watched the three of them do it for 8 minutes and 48 seconds, their conscience never kicked in. Now, I can understand a split-second decision. You get mad and you do something that you regret. But for 8 minutes and 48 seconds, they were quiet. They quietly killed a man in 8 minutes and 48 seconds, and their conscience, none of the four of them ever had that bell that went off in their head that said, you know what, this is probably not a good idea. Not one of them. 4 grown men. Think about it. 4 adults, probably with kids, killed a man, and their conscience, and they were quiet. This was not done in rage. This was not done in anger. They were quiet. One man with his hands in his pockets. As the crowd is telling them, you're killing them. The crowd became his conscience, trying to tell him, you're killing a man. I have a video of these kids sitting in the street for 8 minutes and 48 seconds, and it goes on forever. Forever. These children are developing a conscience. And the men that are telling them not to cross the line have crossed the line in such a heinous manner by killing a man in broad daylight quietly for 8 minutes and 48 seconds. And the same men are telling them not to break the law, not to be out 1 minute past curfew. Those same men are telling them not to cross the line, not to stand in the street. That's all these protesters did today. That was the only line that they broke. That was the only law that they broke. And they got tear gas thrown at them by the same organization that said that that was third-degree murder. They premeditated. They meditated for 8 minutes and 48 seconds, quietly killing a man without one bell going off in their head that they were doing something wrong. Think about it for 8 minutes and 48 seconds.